This is Ryan and Jared, and this is episode 2 of the podcast to be named later. That might end up being the final name.
We're going to have to dub that in or something.
Right. This is February
One of those
16th.
months.
Still February 16th. Maybe we can...
We'll bleep that out.
Yeah. This is February 17th, 2018. And, I don't know. What do you want to talk about this time?
Well, part of what I envisioned some of this podcast being is kind of discussing a little bit of nostalgic things that people in their 40s kind of look back on.
That's what we do. Yeah.
So one of the things that I was buying recently is a computer, and it made me kind of think back to when I was younger, and computers in my mind were getting big. So I guess when I was a teenager, but and just the ridiculous difference between now and then. Mm-hmm. But
well, and the capability, not just the difference in the size of them. And what was your first computer?
I had an IBM brand computer, which at the time I thought
fancy.
was well. I think it was after IBM was not as cool. Like there were plenty of other brands by then, but I got it at Best Buy. It was an open box computer, so I got it at 40% off. Wow. I remember, was a big deal. I think it had a Pentium 3.
Oh, so your first computer was
that was later.
Well into the technology era.
Yeah.
So my first computer was an Apple IIe.
Okay.
And my parents got it for, Santa Claus got it for my sister and me. Really for me, because she didn't have a first idea what to do with the damn thing. But I don't know what year it was, probably 1985, 6, maybe, something like that. Mm-hmm. And it was pretty cool. And yeah, it kind of consumed me for a while. But I don't know how much they spent for it. I should probably look that up to see what those were going for back then. I probably underappreciated that gift from my parents. Yeah. It was probably a few paychecks that they dumped on that. So Santa Claus did.
That was the first computer I bought. Now, the first computer my parents got when I was much younger, I don't even remember what it was, if it was a Commodore 64, if it was before that. I do remember, so I was too young to really know what was going on. Mm-hmm. We didn't have a lot of money, so I'm guessing my parents didn't buy this computer because it would have been thousands of dollars. And my dad ended up donating it to the school that we went to, which at the time I was like, what? No, why would you do that? So there must be more to that story. I need to look into that sometime.
Right.
But anyway,
I think ours got donated to if I recall, it was someone that I think they painted a couple rooms in the house, and they moved the Apple IIe got moved out of the closet so he could paint the closet. And my father or my mother, one of them said, the guy asked about it, and they said, "Do you want it?" And he said, "Yeah."
Right.
So he took my computer. So this piece of computing history. Piece of my childhood. This is in some asshole's basement.
Just got yanked away from you? What the hell?
That happened a lot. My Atari 2600 was the same deal. My mother gave it to, I think, one of my cousins, and then my aunt ended up selling it in a garage sale. I didn't have any say in that. And my Atari was pretty kick-ass. It was pretty awesome.
I think our parents just didn't realize how much of an impact those things had on us.
Yeah, they were just another toy.
You don't just give away an Atari. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, and what the hell would we do with it now?
Can you imagine it, like your kids are in their teenage years? Can you imagine if some guy came over and you just gave away their Xbox. PlayStation or Xbox? Right. Your kids would kill you.
Yeah, it wouldn't go over well.
In your sleep, probably.
Yeah. But I've created monsters that they want to keep every console that they have.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm with them. And,
I kind of am too.
So I currently possess an Atari 2600. I don't know if it works. Someone gave it to me, and I have all the old consoles as far as video games. But I really wish I had that Apple IIe. If I could find one, that'd be cool to have, just to be able to show my kids.
You've been an Apple guy since day one.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, but no, I do appreciate what they did. There's a really good documentary on, I think it's on Netflix, that is about Steve Jobs and Bill Gates and how they were competitive pretty much since the 70s. And at times work together, and most of the time adversaries. But it's really interesting, and it does, it's all nostalgia, but it makes you wonder how we got here so quickly, and how, these guys were obviously instrumental in it, or the guys that they had working for them were.
Yeah, I always kind of wonder when I guess more recently with the iPhone and iPod and all that stuff that everybody credits Jobs with, Steve Jobs did all this amazing stuff. And I'm like, did he really?
He didn't.
Did he invent
the iPod? A genius. There's
right.
no doubt he was a genius.
Sure.
But he was a marketing genius. Yeah. He was a manipulative genius. He knew how to.
He was demanding of what he knew what he wanted.
Yeah, I don't think that's any secret. There's been in the movie that was about. Yeah, sure. He knew how to work people, and he knew how to manipulate, and he was a master at it. And obviously, we have all the things that we have, and he created this cult-like following for his products. So good for him. But
I am unapologetically an Apple hater.
Yeah.
I appreciate that they are well-made products and they are designed well and people love them.
Right.
I hate the totalitarianism of them, how they force you into a certain environment.
I agree with that. What bothers me is not the product and not the ecosystem that they have built and how they try to keep you captive. That's right. It's capitalist. It's it's good. Yeah, it's a good business sense. My problem is the faithfuls that frown upon anybody that dares use something other than a Steve Jobs product. Right. And it's like you're an asshole. It's like someone who's a Ford guy, anybody that drives a Chevy's a moron. Mm-hmm. And there are people like that, sure, but come on. I mean, the Samsung makes some pretty cool stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm with you. Apple makes good products. We bought a Mac. It's a great computer. And there's a reason why we bought it. Mm-hmm. It's, but I also have Chromebooks and I also have Windows machines. And it's just people that are, oh my God, no, you can't have anything but Apple. That's stupid. That's just dumb. And yeah. The other thing is that all those same people that are Apple fanatics, Mac fanatics, they tend to be the younger set. They tend to be, in some cases, anti-capitalists. However, they champion this company that is the perfect model of capitalism. Mm-hmm. I mean, look at their stock price. So, how do you reconcile that? Apple lovers of the world. How do you make sense of that? That you're going to hate Walmart because they run out the small mom and pop shop in town, and you're going to hate the all the big Amazon or whoever, but you're going to love Starbucks and you're going to love Apple. They just charge a heck of a lot more money. Maybe they treat their employees a little bit better, but does that excuse them from still being the capitalist pigs that you so despise?
It doesn't matter because you got your new iPhone.
Yeah, and your fancy Starbucks cup, with 13 cents worth of coffee. Right. Yeah, it's like it does not compute for me. I have no. I don't know. I just have no patience for that kind of stuff. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense.
So you mentioned the mom and pop shops, and today I went to Guitar Center with a friend. He was looking for, a guitar, but a couple other things too. Anyway.
I think they'll sponsor this podcast.
They might. This podcast brought to you by Guitar Center. Not for much longer. That's where I was going with it. Apparently, so the strip mall we were in that had this Guitar Center also had, I don't even know what the store was because it was closed and all the signs were yanked down. But I've also heard that Guitar Center is struggling and might close. Really? They've been saying that for years, but it got me thinking about all the other businesses. Oh, I think it was Sports Authority is what used to be next to this Guitar Center. So Sports Authorities are out of business. They've all closed. So it got me thinking about all these big stores that are closing. I would think in large part due to Amazon.
Right.
And just kind of the irony of it is that these big stores like Guitar Centers and Sports Authority and Walmarts and Home Depots and all that, and Best Buy have been accused, 20 years ago of putting the mom and pop shops out of business.
Right.
And everybody kind of fought that for a while until they realized they could get a better deal and free shipping from Best Buy and Sports Authority or whatever. And now Amazon's doing it to them. And so I don't really feel all that bad. I don't sympathize too much with these businesses, other than it is kind of, I don't like the blight that tends to come from all these empty buildings everywhere. But
nobody likes that. But here's the real hard fact of it all is like you can sit there and be Guitar Center or whatever, Rothman Furniture or some other, family owned business that's been around for 60 years. You can sit there and bitch about Amazon or Walmart or someone coming in, or you can make a better widget and you can beat them. Or you can be, maybe you say, well, how could I ever beat them? They're too big. Well, they weren't always that big. Sam Walton started in one store in Bentonville, Arkansas, Jeff Bezos started selling, shipping books out of his living room. So, it's capitalism, and some people are smarter and some people are better, and just that's the reality of it. So
it sucks if that's your business, but you have to adapt or
adapt or die,
Because in the end, people don't want to pay more for your guitar or CD player or whatever thing has gone out of business now. Anyway, I just thought that was kind of interesting to see how a lot of these big, huge businesses are failing.
Yeah, and it's not going to stop either. I mean, Amazon wants to take over the world. I work in the financial services industry, and we talk about the fact that you wouldn't think that Amazon could touch there's certain industries that they can't touch. Bullshit. They can get anybody. And so I work for a company that services independent registered investment advisors. How could Amazon sneak in there? How they could do the exact same thing that Edward Jones, Chuck Schwab, TD Ameritrade, all those companies do with just, a flip of a switch. They've got the server space. If they don't, they'll build it. Yeah. They've got the money. They've got the capital to make it happen. Nobody is safe, no matter what the industry is, It's just a matter, if it's lucrative, they'll do it. Jeff Bezos will. Bezos? Whatever. I might be saying his name wrong. But, if he wants to do it, he'll do it. That's the same with Elon Musk. Sure. If Elon Musk sees something that he thinks is cool, then he's going to do it. And he's going to do it better than the last guy did. We can almost guarantee it. And you want people like that. So you can't, get mad at someone that's doing it better. Well, if you're smarter, do it better than them or do it as well as them. And I think it's been pretty well established that the Walmart company can't. They're trying. They're doing ship to store and all these things. They got to do a whole lot of work before they can even get close to keeping up with the Amazons of the world. Yep. So it doesn't look good for the strip malls of America.
Right.
But
well, speaking of Amazon, that's where I bought my new computer from. I won't get too deep into what the specs are. I don't know if anybody cares, but
well, I care.
But I wanted something fast enough to be able to, and powerful enough to be able to handle audio editing, because we're going to be doing some audio editing on here. In case we decide to go to video at some point, I wanted it to be able to handle video, and I think it can. I didn't go crazy with it. It's not the most RAM, it's not the fastest processor, but it'll get the job done. Solid state drive and all that. So. And it was $340, which to me is ridiculously affordable. I know you can spend less on a lesser computer, but you can absolutely spend more. But it just is crazy to me to think back. I remember getting the Best Buy mailers. And do you remember? I remember the other store. It was just called Best, I believe, or Best Electronics or Best Products.
No, I don't remember that.
Yeah, and I
remember Circuit City and Best Buy. They were the main competitors.
I second guessed myself at first because I thought, I know I remember a store called Best, and I remember confusing it with Best Buy and getting both mailers on the same day, and like, is this not the same store?
Right.
So I looked it up the other day, and apparently there was a store called Best Products, I think is what they were. And it was, what do they call it? A catalog.
So like a service merchandise. Remember service merchandise?
I do, yeah. I think it was like that.
I loved service merchandise. That place was awesome. I mean, as far as department stores go, it was way better than going to Famous Bar or something like that.
But I remember getting these mailers, and there would be computers in there, desktops for $3,500, $4,300. And, I mean, at the time, I guess that was expensive, but I didn't I just thought, well, that's what a computer costs. But it was crazy expensive looking back now.
Yeah, all things considered, yeah.
And so I have this email that my father-in-law sent me that had an image of a computer from 1989, I believe. It's a Tandy 5000 with a 20 megahertz 386 processor.
Blazing fast.
20 megahertz. 2 megs of RAM. Not gigs, megs. It actually has cache memory. Let's see. What are some of the other features we can pull up? VGA graphics. It does not include a mouse.
Well, because it didn't have
a mouse.
Yeah. Well, it didn't come with an operating system.
It didn't have Windows. It had DOS 3.3. What was the other big thing we saw on here? I don't know. Maybe that's the only thing.
Well, the price.
The price.
Did you say $3,800?
So no, this one is $8,500. $8,500.
That's insane
for a 386 Intel processor.
And someone bought it. RAM. Someone paid that.
Presumably, people were buying it. Now, this is a Tandy, and I don't think there's a lot of Tandys around anymore. Maybe that's why. But I just thought that was insane.
So my first computer that I bought was a Gateway with the cow box and everything, you know.
Gateway 2000.
Yeah, and
that was huge. The cow boxes, right?
They did a good job. I don't know who bought them. Maybe Dell bought them. Someone bought them, but they went out of all the stores closed, and but they had a pretty good model going. And you know, the only thing that was worth a damn. I mean, the computer was good while it lasted. You know, everything was changing so fast, still is, but especially then.
Sure.
That the only thing that lasted was the speakers. They were, I think
you say that.
I think they were Harman Kardon, and it came with a subwoofer and 2 little satellite speakers. And I still got them, and they're awesome.
So, some friends of mine, 2 different friends, bought a Gateway 2000 computer back in 97 or whatever that was.
About the same time I bought mine.
And theirs came with Boston Acoustic.
That's what they were. Yep. You're right. They were Boston Acoustic.
And I still have them. I bought them from a friend, from one of the guys, for like $30. And they sound amazing. They're great sound speakers.
That's the only thing that was worth it.
Yeah, right.
Everything else took a shit.
Sure.
Obviously, the computer's in a landfill somewhere. Or who knows where? You know, who knows what happens to that stuff? Maybe it got recycled. We can be optimistic.
Sure.
Hopefully, it got recycled.
Sure it did.
But no, at
the time, I remember CD writers were the new thing. Yeah, that everybody was like, "Did you get a CD writer?" Yep, right. I spent an extra $1,000 to get the CD writer. It's 2x speed.
And then you had to download music through Napster or through LimeWire in order to have it. I mean, otherwise, what were you writing to a CD? Right. You know, stealing music. But yeah, those were the days, right?
And I remember they spent over $3,000 on those computers. And that was in the 90s, late 90s. So
yeah. No, I don't think I spent that much on mine, but it was not cheap. I remember that. And that was, honestly, though, it was, other than the Mac that we bought a year ago, it's probably the only other good computer that I bought. Every other computer that I bought, I've been disappointed with in very short order. Yeah. So that's why I kind of take this, you know, we just bash Mac. Now we're going to build them up again, right? So that's why I spent the money on Mac because, I think, you know, look, everybody that I know that has one, it's like, oh, I've had this one for 4, 5, 6 years. And, you know, other than Apple stopped sending down updates for the OS, it still runs smooth as silk. It doesn't get hung up like a Windows machine does. It just keeps on trucking. And so that was a big thing for me. I was like, I don't want to have to, plus it was for the wife. So I want it to be low maintenance.
Sure.
I don't want her to come to me and say, well, it's not doing this anymore. I don't want to touch it. So that's why I paid for it. Now, when I go buy myself one, I want to buy something that is reliable, which, like you said, solid state drive, just reliable. It's not something that's going to have a lot of, you know, speed issues 6 months into it.
Sure.
But that's part of Windows too. So, you know, it's just part of keeping things clean and taking care of them.
I feel like back in the day, you know, we had the blue screen of death and Windows was kind of known for crashing if you installed the wrong driver or whatever. I don't remember the last time my Windows machine crashed.
Really?
I mean, like years, 10 years maybe. Definitely since the one we've have now is over 5 years old. Windows 10 now. I think it had Windows 8 when we built it. Maybe it wasn't 4 or 5 years, something like that. I don't think it's ever crashed in the sense that, you know, So I feel like that's a thing of the past. The issue with
or you're not watching
Windows
enough porn.
not being good. Well, we are kind of careful with what we download on it, but yeah.
Porn will get you. Yeah.
That's what tablets are for. So, did you back in the day in the 80s and 90s? When was your first internet connection?
So, well, honestly,
or what was
the
it?
first
Dial-up,
time, it was definitely dial-up, yeah. But the first time that I had a friend whose dad had a Prodigy subscription in I think it was probably early 90s, maybe late 80s, early 90s. But there was nobody on that thing except for a bunch of nerds like him. And they were just chatting and whatnot on Prodigy. It was cool, though, that I was amazed by how does this work? It just didn't make sense. I think that was actually a satellite service, too, that he had. It wasn't dial-up. But that wasn't mine. That was my neighbor's. And then college, seeing internet in, I guess it would have been 93, 94, in the labs at college. That was another, it was, again, chat rooms. I didn't want to talk to those people. I had better things to do. So I probably should have spent more time. Maybe I learned something more. But then AOL. Yeah. My parents, got AOL while I was away at college or whatever. And it was cool, man. You could do all kinds of stuff. Oh, yeah. I mean, looking back, if you were to go back to AOL today, you'd be like, oh, this is horrible. You can't go anywhere. Because they were just the gateway to the internet, right? But
I had a friend, I remember the first friend that had a computer with internet access, and it was dial-up, and and we would all huddle around the computer with nothing to do, like didn't know where to go. There weren't a bunch of websites you could go to. We didn't even know about porn at the time. So it was just like, what can you go to?
Well, it was there, I'm sure, but it wasn't nearly as easy as it is today.
Right. Yeah.
I had a friend that I used to work with. This was in the mid 90s or whatever. And he gave me a floppy disk with just a bunch of pictures, but they were naughty pictures or whatever. And there was a picture, and I'm 100% certain it wasn't real, but it was Jennifer Aniston topless. And I remember, but even that was on a floppy disk.
I was going to say this had to be late in the game if it's Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah, well, it was late. It was mid 90s. It was mid 90s, like 90. I would say 96 or so, maybe. Okay. But it was, yeah. So he copied these files and he's like, here, check that, like it was some gold or whatever. Right. Number one, it wasn't real. But it also took forever.
Was it the 3.5 floppy? Or
yeah, it was a small 3.5. Okay. Yeah. But it still took forever because I guess it was a high res image or whatever. And yeah, I was like, this is, now imagine going back to that from, what's out there today. I mean, you want to see goats, you want to, whatever you want is at your fingertips. It's a scary world we're living in. It is, definitely. And you're raising kids in it too. It's like, good Lord. I mean, it was unimaginable to see what our kids can see, in 1989. There was, you couldn't find it. Even if you had the best connections, you were not going to find the things that these kids are seeing. And I don't know. I mean, maybe that's why there's some mental issues in the world today, is that everybody's or desensitized to everything. Yeah. Whether it's death in video games or tits and ass, or if it's sex, if whatever, it's something's wrong. I
do feel like, and I'm guilty of it, of, trying to protect our kids from whatever content. But I feel like if there's one thing that you can probably let slide, it's sex over violence or drugs or whatever. Like, if your kid's going to watch something in a movie, but it's completely the opposite. Like, most people are completely okay with their kid watching a violent, action movie, but don't watch the nude scene. Right. Skip the nudity. And it's like, wait a minute. What are we? Person. Because, I am too. It's not because I don't second guess myself and think, wait, isn't it okay to see a naked body? Like, we all are naked, and we all have.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with them seeing the naked body. I just don't want to be there because it makes me uncomfortable.
Well, right.
It's like, hey, you guys want to watch that? It's like, here, I'll give you a movie to go watch. I know that there's nudity in it, but I don't want to be around when you guys are watching it. I want you guys to be awkward together while I'll be in the other room, watching something normal. But, I just, it's all about me.
It is awkward, but I think I don't know, maybe it shouldn't be. Like,
I remember going to a movie whenever I was a kid with, I think it was my grandmother. and I can't remember. I think it was Airplane or Airplane 2. Well, one where there's turbulence and the lady's naked boobs are bouncing around. Great scene in the movie. But I was with my grandmother at Ronnie's Theater, and that comes on, and I was just mortified. You know, I was like, oh my God, I'm with my grandmother. You know, she didn't seem to care at all. But yeah,
I remember watching Pulp Fiction with my mom, and you know the GIMP scene, and there's various scenes in that you're just like, why am I sitting here with my mom watching this? Like, this is really weird,
right?
But
it's I don't know, but our kids doesn't seem. I don't think anything would bother them. You know, they're you know, they see so many things, and it's all just crammed down their throat constantly, 24 hours a day, and. You know, we only see what they let us see. Right. Hopefully, they're letting us see a lot, but you know that there's things that they're not telling us about.
Sure. Yeah, we monitor what they have on their devices and whatever, but you can't prevent it all. You know, just
can't let them live in a bubble.
No. Well,
that was quick.
Yeah, that flew by.
Yeah.
So until next time.
Yeah, until next time, this is Ryan and Jared. We'll see you later.